Frankie, it's a very short podcast today because you're a very committed coach to these young lads that are just dying to play football. Plus, we've got Wolves on Tuesday, so the turnaround of games is pretty quickly. Anyway, you've been absent for a week, but we'll catch up in the later podcast about your week off. I'm intrigued by it. Anyway, got thumped by Sunderland. We've got thumped by Chelsea. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, really not happy at all, Gio, to be perfectly honest. To the point where I've got to try and stick to what I said, but I'm finding it incredibly difficult. I said that if we have this bad start, we must stick behind the team. And I said I was going to give it 6 games. So I feel like I've got to be true to that word. But I was fuming, Gio. Absolutely. Honestly, I was in such a bad mood. So, yeah, just the whole thing about that entire match was just so frustrating. And it was everything that I worried about from pre-season. And I know some people have said, actually, we looked okay in some of the friendly games in pre-season. Well, I don't think we did. I never thought we did. I was never happy with any of what I saw in pre-season. Was always worried that when it come to proper matches, when teams are going to actually want to win, ultimately, that we would be banging trouble. And we look so far off it. To concede that many goals in the first 2 games and to be where we are on 0 points is not great at all. I mean, they're spankings, Gio. They're proper turnovers. We've absolutely been ironed out by both teams. And the worrying thing for me is I just don't see how it gets any better. I can't see anything that man's going to do to improve what we're watching. And that's the biggest problem for me. And I don't know who he thinks he is, right? To go on and do interviews and call people out like he is and sit there with attitude and give the responses that he has to some of them reporters. I never liked the man from day one. I could see straight through him. All this rubbish about him being a man manager, absolute, the biggest load of nonsense. Karen Brady's gone on that interview on TalkSport and given it all about how he's this forward-thinking man manager. Absolute rubbish, complete and utter nonsense. And I don't mind so much if he sit there and he has a bit of humble attitude and actually takes a little bit of the blame as well. You know, all saying that it's about the way that the team's defending. Yeah, okay, we're useless at defending. Chelsea walked through us at times, and I mean, it was so easy. But if he thinks that that's the only reason why we're getting our asses handed to us at the moment, he is very, very, very much mistaken. And what worries me is I just don't see him taking any ownership of what's going on at all. None. And yeah, I'm worried, really, really worried. I'll still get in that stadium and I'll still try and back him and I'll still try and give him the benefit of the doubt. But see this 6-game thing that I said that I like to be a man of my word, I'm shortening it up. It's 4 games and that's it. And if I don't see a drastic improvement within those 4 games, then I'm afraid, I'm going to have to go on the turn completely with him and just start saying that this ain't the man for the job.
So you're 2 games away from being Potter out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that 2 league games or is that the Wolves game and not the Forest?
No, the Wolves game's in there as well. And I don't care because there would be something to be said for teams that have a really bad start to the league. Don't worry too much about that game because we've got other things to worry about. But football's a confidence game. Football's about momentum. Any football game we can win right now is important. So I am saying that is just as important as any other match that we could play.
Yeah, I think we do need a win on Tuesday. And I think I've always been sort of pro rotation quite a bit early stages of the cup. But I think for this one, I think if I was Bruno and I was next to Potter and he said to me, what do you think we should do Tuesday? I'd be saying, field your strongest teammate. Like, you need to change something, go to a back 4. But whatever you think is the best players for playing a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 or whatever, put them in. Put Bowen in his best position. Then work off the back of that. because you need to win against Wolves on Tuesday. And then if you win, you go on the camera after the game, you look down the lens and say, we're going to try and win this competition this year. We want to win a trophy at West Ham. That builds, people might think, no chance. But I think what it does, it sends the message, it sends the positivity, it gives fans a little bit of hope, but they need to make sure they win, because Wolves fans aren't too happy at the minute either. They've just been beaten 2 games in a row. And you're right about getting any sort of win, and a win can change things quickly. You know, Brentford got smashed by Forest on opening day 3-1. Then they've just gone to beat Aston Villa yesterday, and their fans are going, right, okay. They've calmed down very quickly in the space of a week because they've just gone to beat Aston Villa at home.
Well, their striker got the goal as well, Gio.
Yeah, the guy they forked out a load of money for. I'm not going to lie. I thought over 40 million for Utada was a lot of money. I thought that was a bit chunky, but he's scored. He's already got the goal. He's already making an impact at the club. And it goes to show that if you do your business early, you do your main business early, that part where the window's open and there's games, they can win you points in that little spell, whereas other teams around you haven't done their business yet. And therefore, they ain't accruing the points that they could be had they done their business earlier on in August or into July. But the whole thing just feels like a big mess at the minute, Frankie. There's a lot of, I think Potter's almost getting chucked under the bus already a little bit by Sullivan. You know, Sullivan didn't want Potter. Well, we know that though. The thing is, that's true. But if you go, I don't want him, and you go get him anyway, and then you say, I didn't really want him. I've got no sympathy, mate. You still went. You knew he was right with his evaluation, which was he did well at Brighton because of the structure. So you've identified why Potter succeeded at Brighton. You didn't really want Potter at West Ham, but you went and got him anyway. I mean, that's to then go, oh, I didn't really want him. No, sorry, there's no sympathy. You're not going to go, oh, you were right, Dave. No, you were right originally. You were then wrong to go against what you believed in. I mean, we've got a guy that essentially running a football club who went against what he believed in just because his vice chair's mates with her husband's mates with him. It's just wild. So I've seen it this time. Oh, Sullivan didn't really want Potter. Well, why did you hire him then? What a stupid thing to do. What an absolute stupid thing to do. I've got no sympathy for it. It's coming out now. Oh, the board are going to get stuck in with a transfer window. Sorry, what? With 9 days to go? Oh, wow. Our saviours. How kind of them that they've done nothing for the other 80 plus days of the window. But now they're going to get stuck in. It completely contradicts everything we've been told this window. I'm not buying it. I'm going to do a separate video about it later, Frankie. That's triggered me as much as getting dicked by Chelsea on Friday night, because the Chelsea game, if we beat Wolves and Forest, I'll get over the Chelsea game. But this mentality, this attitude, and how we run the football club will still be here, even if we beat Wolves and Forest. That will still be here once the window's closed. And that's my biggest issue. In terms of the transfer window, Frankie, what do you think we need?
I'm a little bit past. I was hoping, as we know, for midfielders, a striker, and all this. I kind of don't think it makes a blind bit of difference anymore. I'm just not buying into the fact that we're in this mess because we're missing bodies. I don't think it matters too much if you give Potter a different striker and you give him 2 midfielders. I don't think much changes. I just watch us and I just think the biggest problem we've got is how we set up. It's how deep we have our 2 wide defenders. I watched the PSG the other night when I was out in Croatia, and any team that plays this system that I've watched, you have to have your wide defenders at least high enough to be on top of the opposition's wide players. Because we have them so deep, we give them so much space. It is madness. I can't understand why we do it. So I just watch what he does, and I just don't think it's a personnel problem. But look, I'm going to say, look, we know we need midfielders. We know we need attackers. But I'm almost just hoping that whoever comes in are going to be able to be suitable for whoever the new manager is, because I'm just so convinced that this doesn't change and we will have a new manager in a few weeks' time. That's just where I believe we're at. So, yeah, look, we know we've got gaps. I liked seeing Potts come on the other night. I thought they'd stop playing. So how much did we really see him impact a Premier League game. I'm not sure we could sit there and say he changed the game. Okay, we stopped conceding as many goals. He looked lively, put himself about. That's great. But did we see him against the team who was firing on all cylinders? Probably not. So I don't really want to block his position. I'd like to see whoever comes in still utilise Potts, because I still believe he's a fantastic player. But I am one leg hanging out that train window, Gio, and I am almost back off of this full crew train, because
He's not been good.
I,
I'm a
he's
big
not been
fan.
good.
I'll concede, Frankie. He's not been good in the 2 games. He spent more time on the deck than he has for such a big guy. I was expecting a bit more aggression and being a bit more streetwise against centre backs, but he looks like a 19-year-old. He's getting flung around by centre backs and stuff. I'm thinking, this bloody hell, man. I thought you were a bit better than this, and he is better than that. I know he is better than that, but I've been disappointed with his first 2 appearances so far.
I don't know whether it was a lack of mentality or what, but we looked so weak the other night against Chelsea. There was that one with Wan-Bissaka when he went shoulder to shoulder with their player, and when he got into that position, in my mind, I'm like, Wan-Bissaka bodies this guy here. He leans into him, and then Wan-Bissaka's on the floor. I couldn't believe it. I was like, and you just, when you saw the replay, you just saw that it wasn't necessarily that the player was more physical than him, but the way he leant in, he definitely wanted
His
that ball
attitude
far
was,
more than Wan-Bissaka did. It
you
was
can
his
see,
ball.
Wan-Bissaka's a bit like this, and the Chelsea player was all tensed up and clenching
Yeah,
his teeth,
have
thinking, I'm
that.
going to have a bit of that, and bang, away
Yeah,
you go and stuff. I think it was Neto as well, who's not even the biggest player on the pitch. It was like one of Chelsea's
yeah.
smaller players that done it to him as well. I know the point you're fed into. Before you head off to and get your training cones out, Frankie, you've been Mr. Positivity on this podcast. You know, you always are. Then you go into every game thinking we're going to win. So I'm not going to ask you what you think about the Wolves game, just in case you say a win and we don't win, right? But how positive are you feeling about the season overall? Because I'm sensing a massive shift in your attitude, which is completely understandable after what we've seen. The thing is, when you said at the start, you said we've been turned over here. That's not something I've associated with West Ham and Graham Potter. When we've lost, it's been by a goal. You know, sometimes it's been by late goals. We've got to like the 85th minute, and then we can say, all right, okay, we can crack the late goals, we'll be all right. So I don't really associate getting hidings with West Ham under Graham Potter, but that's 2-2 we've had now, and it's not. It's the players' attitudes that's concerning me. When we concede, everyone just goes, and feels like there's no accountability, there's no arguing, and while I don't want Lee Boyer, Kieran Dyer scrapping on the pitch, actually, I'm getting to the point where I wouldn't mind a bit of it, actually, seeing 2 players really go at each other, saying, what are you doing? That's your guy. What are you doing? It just seems to be, if we concede, it's like, oh, well, we've conceded again. Get the ball at the net. Let's go take kickoff. How are you feeling about the season now?
Yeah, not good at all. And I still wasn't convinced in those ones where we was only losing by a goal. I felt like it could be more. So it just feels like we're now getting kind of what we deserve. But we've just become even deeper, even more defensive. It's like we're just so scared to play football. I was firmly of the opinion that we had no chance of getting relegated. I thought it's not even something that we could contemplate. I thought we was going to be comfortably between that 10th and 14th spot, but never really looking over our shoulders. Well, that's changed. That's changed big time. With the way that we're playing, we are in big trouble. And look, that's the reason why I'm starting to have the opinion I am now and getting more concerned about having Potter as our manager, because like I said, I don't see this changing. I don't think the man's got it in him to play more on the front foot. I don't think he's got it in him to play a different system, which means that, and like I said, I also don't believe that personnel changes improve things either. So on that basis, I'm very, very worried. And all I hope is that because Sullivan didn't want him in the first place, maybe he will grow a backbone quicker than he normally does with manager situations and make a change more quickly before we get too deep into the season. I don't want us to be getting to this stage where we've gone 5 games, 6 games in, we've only got a point on the board, and we start doing that whole, we're going to wait until Christmas, we stick by our manager's nonsense, because then we really will have a problem and have a chance of being relegated. So things need to be addressed quick, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, my prediction, I'll give you my prediction, is if we lose against Forest, which is entirely possible, I'm just guarding the Wolves game, but if we lose against Forest, I think we've got the international break after that. I think the 3 games to save his job will come out like via the leaks and stuff. I think if we get beat by Forest, it'll be because everyone will be angry. Everyone will say, you've got to get him gone now. And I think the leaks will come out. Potter, we're disappointed, but we've got faith in him. But he's got 3 games after the international break to save his job, or he's out of here. I think we'll hear that if we lose against Nottingham Forest. But Frankie, thank you so much. Enjoy your football training. We'll catch up later in the week, hopefully celebrating West Ham being into the next round of the Carabao Cup, and a couple of new signings at least that we're looking forward to seeing. But if not, we could be also discussing no new signings. Only a handful of days left of transfer window. We're out there, Carabao Cup, and we've got Forest coming up at the weekend. But Frankie, thank you so much. You guys at home have enjoyed it. Please do drop a like, comment by clicking thumbs up. Sky, how much chat myself, Frankie. Catch you in a bit.